If you've got a couple of heater kits where you've taken air handlers out on your property, take the heat strips out. If they're bad, we can go ahead and restring them, have them ready to go. So if we do get an emergency heat call, we don't necessarily have to be fumbling to string this up. It's already strung, ready to go. Take the new one, put it in. Your service request is over, especially if it's an emergency after hours. Then the next day when you go in, throughout your travels in a day, you can restring another kit. But that's what this video is all about, how to restring a heater kit. Most technicians want a quick, easy way to repair and replace. So they'll have heater kits that they can buy separately, but they're usually anywhere from $80 to $120 depending on the brand, the type, or anything like that. So if we know how to restring these kits cost you $10 or less. So what I'm going to show you and where I made my mistakes when I was in the field is trying to restring these, buy a heater kit, and ultimately they failed because I didn't understand how to restring them, and once I was shown once, then it was easy after that. I'm going to assume that we've already diagnosed the heater to get to this point. So you've assumed that there's power, the heating controls, heat relays are all sending the signal, but for some reason the unit is not producing the heat. We have two safety controls in any electric strip heat. One is a fusible link, can be the type that wire in like this, or can be in line to the heater itself. Then we have a high limit switch that also shuts out. So when we're testing these, we want to make sure our safety devices have not tripped or blown. If they have, we need to identify the problem that has blown them. So when testing the element for complete circuits or continuity, we can go to one side to the other side. That tells me I have a complete circuit. If I didn't have a complete circuit, in this one here we have a fusible link. So to test the fusible link, the strip would have to be removed. One lead on each side of the fusible link from here to here. That tells me that the device here is solid, and I can go ahead and assume that the reason I'm not getting continuity, and what's going to happen is if I have a heat strip that has burnt in two, now when I go to test this circuit, I get nothing. If I test the fusible link to identify to make sure it's not bad, I do have continuity on each side of the fusible link. But usually during a visual inspection, when you pull it out, you're going to see the break. So now what you want to do is make sure that you carefully remove it. When I was in the field years ago, the first one I did, I just started ripping it out as fast as I could. And this will be your template for the new strip that you're going to install. So you have the two pieces of the strip, not overstretched. So now I'm going to try to put them or splice them back into one another. And just kind of screw it into it till it holds or grabs. So now I have a template of my new strip. And this is where you're either going to need a bench vise or another hand. And in this case, I'm going to use another hand. So now what I want to do is I want to get my heat strip that is rated for this particular item, and this is a 5 kW, and I have a 5 kW heat strip. So now this strip needs to be stretched to that size. Before, what I would do is I'd try to put it in here and stretch it as I went. So I don't really need to do that. What I need to do is be able to stretch this exactly the length. And if you'll notice, each one of these circles or cues are stretched perfectly. They're not overstretched in places, so when I would try to string these in there, I would overstretch in a place which would cause more stress, give it more heat, and ultimately it would burn back in two directly after I applied power. So you have to stretch the new strip to the length of the old strip. So you can either take both of these and put them in a bench vise, so you've got one hand to pull on, and be able to do it and hold it in place because you won't be able to stretch it out evenly. In this case, I'm going to use my lovely assistant's hand to grab the other side. They're going to hold that while this other one is now stretched, and you want to pull it 4 or 5 times until the end length is reached to the point of the exact same size as the other one. So now I've got the size of my strip, and now we compare how evenly it's stretched versus trying to stretch this the whole way. So now I can discard this, and now I can rethread my heat kit back into the strip itself. So now you want to thread this in the opposite way. So the center of my strip is going to go here. So I want to start at each end and thread back through. This takes a little bit of time. The time to not do this is during a maintenance emergency with no heat. Have these restrung, ready to go, so that way you're just repairing the whole assembly. Most of us have a couple of assemblies that need to be repaired, need to be done, and it's nice to have these already strung up. It does take a little bit of time to thread this through here to get it stretched out and get it in, but as you can see, for less than $10, I have a new heat strip ready to go, new fuse links, new high limit switches, and now I feel comfortable putting this back in and ready to go rather than spending anywhere from $80 to $120 depending on the heat kit that you have to have. So when I'm testing it, what I like to do is, if I have a new one and I know the specs, when I first tested this element, it was 11 ohms of resistance. And now it's fluctuating between 10.9, 10.6, 10.7, 11 ohms of resistance. So I basically have the exact same kit with the exact same amount of resistance. And if I take the exact same voltage, I'm going to get the exact number of heat BTUs from this strip based on numbers and the electrical characteristics.